Oh my. Oh my.
You are now tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show.
Yo, you know what it is and what it do. It is that time once again. You are officially tuned into the Revolution Radio Show, aka the Revolution Podcast. And I am your host, Jay Love. As always, I am joined by my lovely and talented co-hosts, plural, Miss Cherie Marlene.
Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday.
And Miss Melian.
Yee, what up, what up?
Yo, I am excited. It is another day. It is still Black History Month for those of y'all who forgot. I told you, I'm going to beat you over the head with this. I got my Kaepernick jersey on right now. I'm repping that, my Black Kaepernick jersey. But today, every day I've been bringing you a highlight for Black history. A lot of people that you don't know, that you weren't aware of the contributions, and other folks that, might be a little bit more notable. Today, I have someone who is a personal hero of mine. You might have heard his name. Some of you might have heard his name, but he is kind of like, to a lot of people, almost one of the godfathers of the civil rights movement. He died early on. He was murdered early on because of his activism, because of all the things he was doing. Because of him, he was one of the people who was largely responsible for bringing the Emmett Till trial and everything with Emmett Till to the forefront. And I'm speaking of Medgar Evers. Medgar Evers was a revolutionary far ahead of his time. This picture I'm about to put up, and those of you on the radio, if you can't hear, one of his most famous quotes was, "You can kill a man, but you can't kill an idea." And so that was one of the most powerful statements all throughout the civil rights movement, because, we wanted to let the opposition know that, even though they were coming with violence and coming with ridiculousness, you can kill a man, but you can't kill an idea. You could kill Dr. King, but you couldn't kill the dream. You could kill, Malcolm X. You can kill Huey. You could kill Fred Hampton, but you can't kill a revolution. So shout out and salute to the general. Medgar Evers on this 23rd day of February, 2021, Black History Month. Yara dig, stay black and stay beautiful. So with that being said, how y'all ladies doing today?
I'm doing good. Had a slow start to my day. Oh, actually, no, I started out early and then it just knocked me off my feet. I am tired today. I don't know what it is. And I slept good. I slept amazing.
Maybe it was that sleep. Sometimes when you sleep good, it just would keep you the rest of the day just tired.
I just think from the busyness of my schedule kicked up, and I'm feeling the effects of it now.
Yeah, that could be true. I wanted to bring up something real quick in the news that just the last few days has been kind of making me laugh. But it's funny, but it's not funny. But y'all been seeing this dude, Tekashi?
Oh man, he going at it.
What happened?
Well, I personally think, honestly, like, without jokes aside, I think he either has a death wish, or, we definitely know he's got to have some mental health issues going on, man, because this dude is constantly like trying to push buttons to get people to come at him. And it's like,
well, he made a post that said, like, all these people are actually saying stuff first, and then he's basically responding. So he's like, how do you guys want me to react? They're talking about me first. So
yeah, but that's kindergarten. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like this, I just really think he doesn't know how to survive without being controversial. I think he spent so much of his time being a troll, and like, instead of learning
high now, right? It's like
yeah, absolutely. Now. And instead of learning the lesson, like, yo, I literally got away with attempted murder, actually, but like he got away with so much. Like, instead of like, you know what, guys, I'm turning my life around or whatever, he's just diving back deeper into, and I know it's because I saw this post today with his baby moms and how she was saying like it's affecting their daughter. And that's the part, like, what's really sad is that the little girl, she ain't got nothing to do with this, and she's caught up in this whole, this dysfunctional cycle of this guy constantly trying to like rile people up. You
He
know,
put
and
Meek Mill in his video. Did you see that? His new music
yeah, and
video.
Meek Mill's like, come on, you trying to set me up, man? Like,
Wait,
Meek ain't
side
trying to go
note
back.
though, I don't know how I feel about Meek right now with that Kobe line. If you guys saw Vanessa, she made a post on her story. Meek Mill had made a line in his rap that said like,
Mhm.
"I'll go out with my chopper like Kobe." Like he
Yeah.
was
Well, he said
like,
if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out in a chopper like Kobe.
"No, I'm gonna
Which
go out with my chopper, his gun like a gun with my
yeah.
chopper like Kobe."
And
So
yeah, I think he was trying to be clever, maybe like wordplay,
chopper, yeah,
Did
but
Vanessa say anything to that?
yeah,
yeah.
but
She wrote on her
What
story. She was
What
like,
did she say?
"That's
she basically said,
distasteful. It's insensitive, like kind of thing."
yeah.
Like,
And so, but you got a low key. She put that little dig in there. She was like, I don't know any of your music, but that was like a little bit of. She threw a little bit of
yeah,
something like,
a little
I
bit.
personally don't know none of your music, but
Kobe from Philly too, so
you
it's
know,
like he
you
grew up
can
there.
do better. You can do
Yeah.
better. So, I mean, I just think, look, as we're getting older, there is a responsibility to,
Mhm.
the things that we do and we say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think all of these things, like it's kind of like that scripture that says, "When I was a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child, but now that I'm
Mhm.
a man, and I think that's the thing is that even with hip hop culture, like when hip hop was young, we could get away with a lot of things, right? But now that we actually have certified billionaires, right, within hip hop, which is dope. Like we have tons and tons and tons of millionaires and business owners and international business owners. Like it's time that we elevate our people. Which brings me to what's going to be going on the show today. Like, I'm always about let's have some fun, let's entertain, let's laugh. But we also need to learn, and because it is in the context of Black History Month, a lot of people have heard of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? But what people don't realize is that there was actually a lot of towns like Black Wall Street all throughout the South, and even here in California. I think there was a couple of places here in California, and so there's a lot of historical significance in these Black towns. That we're kind of trying to do their own thing to get away from what was going on in integration, right? And all of the Jim Crow and all that stuff after Reconstruction. And so we have with us, I should say, a couple of guests representing, and I hope I say this correctly, the oldest Black township in America, right? The oldest Black town in America, Mound Bayou, Mississippi. So I'd like to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, please show some love. They're actually brothers, for Herman and Daryl Johnson. How are you gentlemen doing this evening?
Oh,
All right.
I'm glad to be here, to be with you all out in L.A. Greetings
Yeah,
from Mississippi.
Yes, sir. Good to be here.
the
Thank
MI
you for being with us.
crooked letter I.
Humpback eye.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
So, a quick question before we jump in, but I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. Daryl, you were formerly the mayor of Mount Bayou, isn't that correct? So, we got some dignitaries on here.
Yeah, I'm former mayor, and I'm still dealing with mayor. I'm a vice president of technology with the World Conference of Mayor as well, and I'm one of the original founders of Historic Black Towns and Settlements. And that's where I found out that Mount Bayou is not the oldest, but we are one of the oldest African American
Mm.
communities in the country. There were a lot of things going on all over this country in African American communities. So
We
we are
thought
one of
we
the
were
oldest. We
thought
thought,
we were the oldest, but because we don't have a historical knowledge like we should, then we finally found out that there are other towns that were already out there.
right.
Mm.
But we have a
Interesting.
great distinction.
What were you saying, Sheree?
Oh, I was just going to say, to follow up with that, did it at all at any point have a thriving economy like what we hear about in the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
Exactly. As a matter of fact, some of the people from Mount Bayou were some of the people that were influencing as well with the Black Wall Street.
Oh wow.
Mount Bayou turned a swampland
Mm.
into a flourishing place that we had up to 60 businesses. We had up to 6 cotton gins. We had more millionaires per population anywhere than anywhere in the state of Mississippi, and these were 100% African American.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. What year
And
was the town established?
It was established in 1887,
Mm.
and we had a visit from the president in 1907. Theodore Roosevelt came at the invitation of
To a black town?
President Theodore Roosevelt came to
Wow.
Mound Bayou and made this rousing speech and called Mound Bayou the jewel of the Delta. And
Wow.
we
Wow.
still continue with what he called us, because he would go further and talk about Mound Bayou in other places, and
Mhm.
he said if they could do it in Mound Bayou, any African American could do it, and he didn't say African American, he said Negro.
He said
But
Negroes. We was Negroes back then.
and another thing that the reason Mound Bayou had 6 gens at that time was that back in those days was that the guys who had come from who started Mound Bayou were from a plantation out of Vicksburg, and these guys they had owned that plantation after the Civil War and became some of the richest men in the country right out of the Civil War because they bought the plantations they were on.
Okay, hold on. I got to interrupt you because I got to make sure I understand this correctly. Are you saying former slaves bought the
Exactly.
plantations?
Yeah, they
Exactly.
bought that plantation, and they bought that plantation, and they outworked every other plantation in that general area. They
Wow.
made more money than any of them, and they had at that point in Vicksburg, they had the highest grade of cotton in the world. And so they moved from there and came to Mound Bayou and started Mound Bayou, cleared that swampland, mosquito infested swampland, because nobody else would buy that land. But they bought it, cleared it, and again had the highest grade of cotton in the world. They set the price of cotton in the country
Mound Bayou
was
set the
set by
price.
Mound Bayou.
That's
And
exactly right.
so people from all around this whole area in the general area of in the Mississippi Delta would, if they could, would bring their cotton to Mound Bayou to have it ginned in Mound Bayou, because if they did, they got the Mound Bayou label on their cotton and got a higher price than anybody else in the area.
Wow.
And guess where they bought the plantation from? That plantation that was actually the Confederate president's plantation. Master Jefferson Davis.
That's wild.
Wow, that's crazy. See, that's inspiring. I didn't know some of that. Why do you think it's important for people to learn about places like Mount Bayou?
Because that's a great question. We were brought up in it. We were brought up in knowing African American history. Most of our people in America don't know where they came from. And I'm gonna just say it like this: when you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. And the reason why we have so many people doing all types of things, because, hey, black child, do you know who you really are?
Come on, speak the truth.
And the bottom line is, we just have to learn who we are. You know, we have a queen and king, a grade of people in America, and we still acting like chickens, and we're eagles. And if we learn our history, and if our real story was told, you'll have a greater pride in who you really are. And that's what we were brought up in. We were brought up in that.
Now, y'all didn't know this, but Daryl's a preacher.
Yeah.
He has a church.
I can
He's a
feel
preacher.
it.
So
I
he
feel
can
it.
cook.
Okay,
I
amen,
feel
amen, amen.
Yeah, but let me just tell you, we had to we got it to a point that the black man in Mound Bayou in the 40s, the 30s, in 1910 was more respected in many areas than white men by white men. Is because they were farmers, they had the most premium grade cotton, and they didn't see them as black people. And I tell my story a lot of times. I told it on Henry Louis Gates, but the story of my granddad who goes to this local tractor shop 10 miles away, and and he walks in with his part, and he's standing in the back waiting for his turn. And they say to him, "Hey, nigga, take your hat off." That's this young guy behind the counter who's new. And the other guys behind the counter just didn't even see it the first time. So he did it again. "Hey, nigga, did you hear what I said? Take your hat off." And my granddad had just stood there. And the other guy saw that he was talking to Mr. Samuel Thompson, the gin owner from Mount Bayou. They grabbed the boy, pull him up to the side, and say, "That's not a nigga. He from Mount Bayou." And that was the respect that people had in Mount Bayou, even us, when we would go places when we were children, and white people look at, "Y'all must be from Mount Bayou." And that was the type of thing, because all of us thought different. You know, we stayed at the top. We thought at the top. We always thought that, and I felt sorry for white people because they weren't.
Man, this giving me this sound like Mount Bayou was the original Wakanda, like, you know.
Yeah, and it can be, and it still can be. It still can be. If we're not infiltrated, and if African Americans will point to something and say, "This is where we're going to spend our money. This is how we're going to do certain things, and this is how we're going to make America," then yes, sir. Yes, sir. We could turn what we want to turn into the Wakanda that should be. And it could be better than the Wakanda.
Exactly. You feel what I feel, Jay. You feel what I feel.
Cause look, I'm younger than y'all a little bit. You know what I mean?
I can tell. I can look at you and tell.
Couple days.
You know, couple days. But I mean, just in my lifetime, I know what it's like to, you know, feel, you know, especially having lived some of my childhood in the South, in East Texas, and having to deal with, you know, like, you know, you don't look at white folk a certain way, and, you know, when white folk is coming, you move out the way, and yes, sir, and no, sir, and I'm sorry, sir. I'm old enough to still have experienced that, and to hear I mean, even to this day in certain places in the country you go, and they ain't no signs up, but you know, like, you know, you better be real articulate today.
Right. Let me tell you a story you probably hadn't heard. I'm not sure you haven't heard this story, but in our train depot, this probably was the only place in the country where the fountain, you know, had two fountains, water fountains, and the white fountain was outside. The black fountain was inside.
Man, I love this. I love this.
We grew up looking at the sign that says whites only, and the whites only sign was outside. So the white folks, when they stopped in Mount Bayou, if they gave us that type of discrimination, we always
that is so gangster to
reversed
me.
It.
Yeah, no, man, I'm like, you know,
I was gonna ask, like, back then, did white people comfortably come in, or
we treated them. White people would come to Mount Bayou. You would have your agitators that thought that they would do certain things, but we had places where whites checked in, but they never checked out. But anyway, I can say this. But that's I'm just saying that that's just true. You know, yeah. I mean, it's not something that we are proud of, but it wasn't something that continuously happened. We had a jail that nobody got in. We had people that had, we had councils where if somebody acted up, you know, they got straightened out by the councils. You know, we brought our African ways over here to United States. And brought it into the town, and so it worked. But whites saw Mount Bayou as the place because, you know, they were jealous. A lot of them were jealous, and a lot of them showed their jealousy. When we had our bank, and they worked so hard to stop our bank, Booker T. Washington came and in 1912 and opened up this oil mill. He spoke at the oil mill. As a matter of fact, Booker T. Washington and the person that owned the bank here in Mount Bayou were very good friends. And anyway, it was what we did that was the envy of the people that were around.
So tell them the story about the bank.
Bayou. It was whites that would come to Mount Bayou to the yard sales of some of the guys in Mount Bayou.
I'm sorry. It's just so hard for me to picture white. I mean, it's a beautiful thought that white people would be envious of, and really, just I mean, that's just such an amazing picture to think that it was a place where black folks had dignity to the extent that white folks would be envious back then even.
It's the same. It's the same concept that what we did is the same as what happened at Black Wall Street. It's the same as what happened with African Americans all around the country when they were envious. When people, because what were they saying? They were saying that black people were not fully people. So if you keep saying that and you keep saying that you're supreme, if you keep saying that I'm above black people and you see them doing better than you, that says a whole lot about you.
Man, I'm really loving this, man. I can't. We got so many things to ask you, but we gonna pay a couple bills real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, if you just tuning in, this is the Revolution Radio Show on 102.3 FM KCAA in the Inland Empire. We have with us some representatives from one of the oldest black townships in America, Mound Bayou, Mississippi. The Johnson brothers, Herman and Daryl Johnson. But we'll be back in just a minute. I'm telling you, this is the most fascinating thing I've heard in a long time. But right now, we're gonna pay a couple bills. We'll be right at you in just a minute.
Exotics Wellness. From massage oils to bath bombs, from drops to pain bombs, everything you need in exotic CBD wellness. Go to www.queenexotics.com. That's www.queenexotics.com or Queen Exotics on Instagram.
Do you have a business that requires heavily upon your clientele base having access to cash, like a dispensary or a barbershop? Or maybe you're in the market for one of the new cutting-edge Bitcoin ATMs or self-serve kiosks. Whatever your ATM needs, reach out to my man Guy, the ATM Guy, at 855-4ATM-GUY. That's 855-4ATM-GUY or online at www.atmguy.net.
Without even lifting a finger, achieve the body of your dreams. You're perfect the way that you are, but if you've been struggling to tone up and love your body, there's something that can help you get there. Put down the box of chocolates and pick up a wrap. No, not that kind. A wrap that you can wear. That's Gym in a Box. The Core Wrap, the best body shaper anywhere. It features ultimate performance technology, Tone Up 15 to firm tone and strengthen your abs as it shapes your waist. That's Gym in a Box. Go to gyminabox.la to get yours now. That's gyminabox.la because you deserve your dream body.
So if you just tuning back in, this is the Revolution Radio Show on 102.3 FM KCAA in the Inland Empire, worldwide everywhere else. And it's a special Black History edition today. We talking to two representatives from one of the oldest black townships in the country from Mound Bayou, Mississippi. And man, this is so fascinating. I'm really tripping like on all the information that y'all are giving us, man. I'm telling you, I'm real tempted to get up and move.
It's crazy. It kind of seemed like a whole nother country what you guys are talking about. Mm-hmm. So I noticed that you guys had mentioned, Roosevelt came, Booker T. Washington. Who are some other influences, important notable influences that you feel shaped Mound Bayou?
Tell him.
Yeah. Dr. T.R.M. Howard was really important during the Civil Rights era. Dr. T.R.M. Howard came. He was the medical director for the Taborian Hospital. We built a hospital in 1942. Well, we opened a hospital in 1942, and it was about a fraternal order called the Knights and Daughters of Tabor, where they put their nickels and dimes together across this whole country to build a place where, for the first time, blacks could walk through the front door of the hospital. Wow. And this was the first HMO that ever in the United States, and where we paid like $37 a year, and you get 40 stays and up to so many stays in the hospital, so many treatments, and we had people from Meharry College that would come, doctors. We had the best medical care, and so Dr. T.R.M. Howard was a medical director. He would go across the street and build another place called the Friendship Clinic as well, right beside where he built the zoo. And he also had a restaurant, the Green Parrot Inn, and the zoo was right beside the restaurant. So people would come all around the South to come over to Mound Bayou. And then he built an Olympic-sized swimming pool where black people, you could come to
Hold
Mound
on.
Bayou.
You telling me black people could swim?
And this was the 50s as well. And Dr. T.R.M. Howard also was a great orator. And so he was absolutely tired of what was going on. And I'm just saying Dr. T.R.M. Howard, but I could go down the list. Mavis Staples was born in Mound Bayou. Rena Evers, who's my friend, was actually born in Mound Bayou as well. That's Medgar Evers' daughter. Both she and her brother were born in Mound Bayou.
Wow.
And but when you say a hospital in Mound Bayou, Mississippi, for the first time, black people from all around could come in, there's a lot of people from the South that were born in Mound Bayou. There were so many babies born in Mound Bayou. So a lot of people going around from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and even the 70s that have on their birth certificate Mound Bayou, Mississippi, because they wanted their children to be born in this all African American community. But Katie Hall, Congressman Katie Hall, is the one who introduced the bill for the Martin Luther King celebration. The reason that we celebrate, she came up with that idea.
Wow.
And that holiday, that lady is from Mound Bayou, Mississippi, Fannie Lou Hamer. I used to play with her. I remember I was telling my brother, I remember the time that she came at one of the at the hospital. She came to one of their outings in the front. And during that time, ladies used to dress so beautiful. And I'm not saying they don't do it now, but your nurses had your white stiff uniforms and the pretty little white hats and all of that, and people had pride in a whole lot of the things that they wore. But anyway, Fannie Lou Hamer would sit out there, and my dad, who took the place.
For those who don't know, who is Fannie Lou Hamer? We got a lot of young folk listening.
Well, Fannie Lou Hamer was a lady that coined the phrase, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." She was the one that told the Democratic Party, if y'all won't, we're gonna sit here because y'all gonna seat us as delegates. They wouldn't seat her and
at the Democratic convention.
At the Democratic convention. And so she was a civil rights worker, and she actually died in Mound Bayou. But people still talk about Fannie Lou Hamer. But I was just telling you about how, these are the type of people that I would say it was like an everyday thing. I remember my daddy, who was on the radio, and my brother as well. He took us over to my dad took us over to her house one Saturday. She was cooking chitlins in there. I remember you could when somebody cooking chitlins.
Yeah,
she was cooking chitlins, and they had chitlins and spaghetti that day. And I remember that. But people just would visit her house, and they, doing a lot of civil rights strategy meetings and stuff like that. But my dad, who's still living, is the one who took Medgar Evers' place when Medgar Evers left Mound Bayou.
Wow.
So when you talk about celebrating and saluting Medgar Evers is one of the persons that we are going to celebrate more, having left Mound Bayou and going to be the NAACP person that represents the NAACP before he.
But
he
I think
died.
you should tell us the story about the connection between Emmett Till, the Emmett Till case, and T.R.M. Howard, because without T.R.M. Howard, we would not know about the Emmett Till case. And but Daryl, I think you should tell them about that story. Yeah.
So Emmett Till gets killed, and thanks for pulling me back in. Emmett Till gets killed, and so Dr. T.R.M. Howard says to J. Edgar Hoover, you all need to come and you all need to investigate what's going on. The black people down here in Mississippi, and we are not going to stand for this anymore. And there was a call. There was a call, a clarion call to the federal government to address this. And so he was a great orator. He would go over to Martin Luther King Senior's a church over there in Alabama, and he would speak about what happened to Emmett Till. In the meantime, he would host Emmett Till in his house in Mount Bayou. Not Emmett Till, but Mamie Till, who came after Emmett was killed, and he would move her back and forth quietly with guns all over the place. He had guns all over his car, but it was real dangerous at that time. But he would speak at that and start when they started the Montgomery bus boycott just before it. What's the lady name?
Rosa Parks.
Yeah, Rosa Parks was there.
Wow.
So he spoke. Well, let me get here. He spoke at the church in Alabama, and he was really ticked off about what had happened to Emmett Till, and he was a very fiery orator anyway, and he so moved the audience that 4 days later, one of the people in the audience sat down on the bus, and that was Rosa Parks, because she would tell you that the reason she sat down and didn't get up was because of Emmett Till, where she had heard a lot about it from T.R.M. Howard.
Wow.
And she said when T.R.M. Howard came and told them about what actually had happened, she said she made up her mind. She was not going to continue. And she said that many times in her interviews that it was Dr. T.R.M. Howard. So here's the deal. He would go to Madison Square Garden, Dr. T.R.M. Howard, and raise money, and there he would direct money back for the Montgomery bus boycott. And a lot of people, because we don't tell and we let other races tell our story, we don't know our story. And Dr. T.R.M. Howard was all in the midst of the story, and Mount Bayou was all in the middle of the story. As a matter of fact, if it was not for Dr. T.R.M. Howard, we would not have had a civil rights movement like we had. Now, something could have happened, but the movement that, everything fell in line, fell in the right place. And Dr. Martin Luther King did what he did afterwards. He was being mentored by none other than Dr. T.R.M. Howard. As a matter of fact, Martin LutherKing was on his way to Mount Bayou when he got shot as well in Memphis, Tennessee.
Wow, God, wow, that's so fascinating to hear. Man, you need to write a book.
Yeah, are there any books about Mount?
There are some books. There are a few books that are written about the history of Mount Bayou, but I am in the process of writing books.
The early history is written by there was a book written years ago, and it's called The Pursuit of a Dream, and it's by Janet Sharp Herman, and I think it's still in print. And that's a good book. You can learn about what happened really on the plantation. That's a fascinating story about what happened with the guys on the plantation, because they on that plantation in Vicksburg, out of Vicksburg, it wasn't typical because those ex-slaves or enslaved men were taught to read and write, and they actually ran the plantation down in Vicksburg. They ran it. And not only did they run it, they had businesses there on the plantation. And so it was natural for them when the Yankees came in, or the Union Army came down, it was natural for them to sell it to the ex-slaves, because they would actually run it anyway.
And this is so fascinating because you don't hear none of this in school. Like none of this. Like in school, you learn slavery to Jim Crow. You know what I mean? It jumps from slavery to Jim Crow, And this stuff in the middle, like it would have been so fascinating to hear early on, like, hey, we were running towns. We had our own, economies that were not only self-sustainable, but were enviable by other people's in the. That would, like you were saying earlier, would allow a young person to say, like, there's more that we can strive to than just being second class or quote unquote ghetto or whatever. So this is so fascinating to hear that. And the fact that the town still exists, and I think I saw a number today that it's still 96% black, which is
but but no, Phil and Kim and
you can name the people. You can name the white people in town. That's what he's doing.
But J Love, I want to say this, man. Who gonna tell the story? Who gonna tell you of the accomplishments of African Americans? Who's gonna write in those history books that black folks did all of these wonderful things other than us?
Well, that's why we got you on the show today.
So who had the pen in the past? The person that had the pen in the past painted the picture. That's a lot of P's right there. Painted the picture that they wanted you to see. But now it's time for us to stand up.
Hey, that's a message. He who got the pen paint the picture.
That's what I'm talking about.
Said the pastor.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Sheree,
It was so.
Go ahead.
Just real quick, it was so thriving back then, so progressive. What were there? I know you mentioned there were jails. Was there any crime going on?
Very little crime. There were things that happened. People did things, but it was very little crime. Like I said, the jailhouse was there, but they couldn't get people in it. I mean, they wouldn't.
They had to tear it down. They ended up having to tear it down because
okay, hold on. The narrative for so long has been that especially black men, are criminals. And here you have an all-black town, and you had to tear it down to jail because you don't got enough crime. Come on, man! Somebody needs to hear this. Somebody needs to hear this.
That's what I've been saying for years.
And so the picture that was painted about us was painted from somebody else, and that's what we've been receiving until we started thinking that's who we are.
Yeah.
So and that's what I'm telling you. That's not who we are.
Whew, I need to go to the altar right now.
Well, for the people that are just tuning in, just to clarify, you both grew up there, right? You were also born and raised there. Okay.
Right.
Now, do you feel like there's any difference now from before? Like, did you guys ever have to deal with Jim Crow laws because it is all predominantly black community, black town? Or did you not have to deal with it?
Yeah, we did. I mean, we still have to deal with some, because we're in Mississippi. I'll give you an example. Some years ago, in the 80s, he and I had a used car lot here in Mount Bayou. And we would sell cars. He would sell cars because I was still in California. But he would sell cars. And the people would come get the car, and they would go to the bank to get financed, just like you do normally in any used car lot. And no bank in the whole area would finance anybody that bought a car from us. It was just one of the tactics that they'd use to put us out of business. And
how did you guys survive?
We didn't, not in that business.
Specifically because they couldn't get loans.
Right. Our customers couldn't get loans because they bought cars from us.
Well, that was in the 80s. So yeah. We experienced it. I'm like I said, I was the mayor of Mount Bayou. And you're talking about discrimination. Nobody's seen discrimination. Most towns don't have discriminations against the town. But when you 100% black, can you imagine the discrimination that we've had against our own town? We've been sued, and every judge that loved the suits. One lady fell in the ditch and got almost bankrupt the city because she won her lawsuit with a ditch that never existed.
Wow.
It was a white lady. And
was
the only reason
was her name Karen?
She was the original Karen. She was the original Karen.
And the only reason that we what happened was, I don't think anybody would try that again, because when they did that and that lady filed that suit, and of course they gave her a judgment, but what happened is that they ended up almost bankrupting the town behind that. And WDIA in Memphis, who was a good partner of us because we were doing things with them for years.
A black radio station.
Yeah, the black radio station in Memphis. They put it out that they were going to come down and do a rally for Mound Bayou. And they had, on that one Saturday that they did this, they had the longest caravan ever. They had 33-mile caravan from Memphis to Mound Bayou. And they brought in all of those people from Memphis, and they raised over, I think the figure is about $250,000 for Mound Bayou. Paid that lady and gave us extra money. So
wow,
I don't think they would do that anymore.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, so they turned a bad thing into a good thing. It was black people from everywhere coming in and say, "We're gonna save Mound Bayou. You're not gonna pull this black town down." And they came in from everywhere, and they came in. I mean, they came in. You had motorcycle clubs, car clubs, and all types of people coming together. Y'all going to Mound Bayou, and they were coming to Mound Bayou, and they brought this big check. Say,
wow,
we're taking care of this.
What a sight to see!
It was
awesome.
It was.
When was that? What year was that?
You know what? I got to put that down because I don't know what year that was.
But still, I think that's amazing. The support that the community outside of your community came to do.
Yeah. And that's great. That was great. That was a great thing. So black people are not let those type of things happen to us.
Well, listen, I gotta ask this. Do you think there is a place for towns like Mount Bayou in today's society?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the organization that Darryl belongs to, Historical Black Towns and Settlements Alliance, is an effort to draw people back to towns like Mount Bayou, and we believe that in the U.S. a lot of times you'll see this happen when there's a killing or there's a shooting or there's somebody black got killed for no reason at all, and then you see the sentiment on social media about how we need to have our own place, or people will start saying we need to move to Africa and we need to go here and we need to. Well, we have our own places. We have our own places, the black towns, like Mount Bayou, that are already here. That if we get together, we can build our own places. We can build hotels and golf courses and entertainment and do all of that in a town like Mount Bayou. We don't have to go anywhere else, and we can centralize our whole existence in towns like Mount Bayou and just bring the infrastructure here.
And one of the things that we're doing in Historic Black Towns and Settlements is that, whatever we do with success in one city, we're gonna try to mimic that in the other ones. We got together. I'm one of the founding 5 members of the Historic Black Towns and Settlements, along with Eatonville, Florida, Grambling, Louisiana, Hobson City, Alabama, and Tuskegee, Alabama as well. And I was the mayor of Mount Bayou. We all got together, and now we have so many African American communities and settlements that are working along with us as we are working on getting people to look back at these African American communities and then empower those African American
and even black communities in Canada.
In Canada, we got Canada. Canada is involved with us as well.
Man, I think I'm gonna start Loveland. We're gonna start Loveland.
Have you guys moved out, or have you been there the whole time? And I can see why, but what made you guys kind of stay in Mount Bayou? Why you guys?
My brother just came back from California, but I've been here all of my life, other than going to college. And when I came back, my wife and I, we opened up businesses, and so We open up one business, we open up another business, we open up another business, we open up another
Mm.
business, because I believe in us.
Okay, we need some sponsors, Daryl. All them businesses.
Yeah, we need some sponsors. We need some sponsors too, because right now I'm the president of the Civic Club, and we're opening up a museum for the first time. And we really want to tell our story. And so one of the things as we're doing is telling this story. We want other people to come alongside us as well to help us tell this African American story. We're not just telling the Mound Bayou story, what we did here, but we want to tell the real African American story. We got to tell it, and we got to tell it like it was, and not sugarcoat it, and not hide something over here. We need to tell it. We need to tell the story about the real story about hangings. We need to tell the real story about how much they stole land from us. We need to tell all of those stories, and then how we prevail in the midst of all of that. We need to tell the stories of inventors. We need to tell the story of people that served in the military for us. We need to tell the story of the real Black church. It is different from anything else. It is our community, and we need to tell the whole story of who we really are. Exactly. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen. A to the man.
So I know your brother was mentioning you are a pastor, you were a pastor. Are you pastoring a church right now?
I've been pastoring since 1982. I started a church in 1982. And then I started opening businesses after that.
So I'm just gonna throw this one out for free. So that means your sustenance is, because people been we're gonna have another episode on the church in general, but since we know that you own businesses, that means your sustenance ain't off of the tithe plate, because you got businesses, because you like Abraham setting up tents and businesses or everything.
Here's the deal. I am teaching people how to tithe. Because the founding of Mound Bayou was a spiritual thing, and the foundation of it was basically he's saying, I want to show people how to live for God in a city of your own. And he told y'all, build a city, and we're gonna live in this city, and we're gonna live without the white man over our head. We're gonna have God over our head, and we're gonna obey him. That's the key to what actually happened in Mound Bayou. But the finances part, God inspired me to do these other things. I bought a flower shop. Didn't know that I had the gift to do flowers myself. Bought it for $300, and then when the man told me it's $20,000 worth of inventory, and have after the Lord has fixed this for me to buy for $300, I asked the man, "Can you take $100 down and $100 a month?" And he said sold. And so when you see those types of things, and those are types of things that I live by faith in God, because I believe God did all of that. Favor is correct. I believe he did all that to bring us to this day, that we can be able to tell the real story, because somebody got to tell the story of African Americans. Absolutely. It has to be told.
And if people want to learn more about you, where can they find you guys? Where do they go?
Well, the name, my email is easy. The name of our city is Mound, without a T, it's the D, Mound Bayou. And my email is moundbayou@gmail, moundbayou@live. You can go to you could, that's how they can get me. I'm there you go. It's just as simple as emailing me and letting me know that you're interested, and we can go from there.
And you can put mine there if you got it. Herman.johnson@gmail.com.
And that's Herman with an
O.
With an O.
HERMON.Johnson@gmail.
Real quick, Herman, what are you up to nowadays? Are you a pastor too?
No. I wasn't called to do that. But I was in California for 43 years. And and the pandemic hit last year, and my job went to nothing. So I was always pointing this way to Mississippi. I was always, working while I was in California. I was always calling and working and doing things and writing stuff for the project that we're trying to get done. We were trying to get the museum off the ground. And so when the pandemic hit, it was just an opportunity to come back here. And because the job went to nothing anyway. So why not going back to Mount Bayou? I've been pointing here, trying to get back here anyway. So
God works in mysterious ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this, Lord willing, if everything gets a little bit better this summer and things start to open up, I know we as the Revolution Radio Show want to go on a road trip across the country.
Come on now.
Visit a lot of cities. So if that's able to happen, we definitely want to stop through Mount Bayou.
You gotta stop.
J Love coming to Mount Bayou. All right.
And I get one cheat meal a week. So if y'all got some good barbecue or something, I'm a sucker for barbecue.
We know how to do it. Barbecue during the week and fried catfish on the weekend. My brother, we'll even do the gumbo for you.
Hey, I'm hungry right now. It's dinner time here in Cali, man.
You know what my auntie told me gumbo stand for? She said it stand for throw that in. Whoever in the kitchen. Everybody recipe different because they say, child, just throw that in. Throw that in.
Well, we are planning to open up the museum during Founders Day, and Founders Day is July 12th. Okay. And so we're going to open the museum at that time. It'll be a good time to come and bring your show here.
Well, Corona willing. Corona willing. We trying to, we trying to definitely. But man, we really appreciate. We coming down. We got 4 minutes left in the show. We really appreciate you, brothers. Thank you. I mean, I wish we had so much more time because so much. I'm just sitting here in awe of the things that you guys are saying. It's just so fit because if one community can do it, man. That means that the blueprint is there. It can be done. That means that literally you could have an Asian community. Shout out to Melian. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, they already got there's a lot of like Koreatown, Chinatown, but I mean, to actually have a town, a city that's different, I think it's powerful because, there's a singer a rapper Akon, who's opening his own city in Africa.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people, and I'm like, but man, to go all the way to Africa, like, just that plane ticket just alone is, $1,500 to go to that. But, I could put some gas and get to Mount Bayou.
Come on.
But no, thank you so much, because I think it's really important for us to know, like you said, know the history, to know that these things are realities that really have happened in this country, and that, the narrative that has been painted isn't the entire picture. Exactly. And that's why this entire month I've made it a point to highlight inventors and scholars and different people, that when people realize, like, it was a Black man who created the traffic signal. It was a Black woman who did the first cancer surgery with a laser that cured cancer. It was, I could go on at the remote control, the super soaker water gun. Like, we have so many different things that we've done as a people. And the more that we know that, it no longer has to become a lotto type situation in our communities where it's like, oh, either you could shoot a basketball or you could be a rapper, but that's it. But no, we, like you said, we have within our DNA royalty. So the ability to be statesmen, to be physicians, to be attorneys, to be anything that we put our mind to, and even create certain things, is powerful. And especially if it was done in a time that it was 100 times more difficult than today. Right. Even though we got our challenges today, and, we still fighting the good fight. But the truth is, it was way more difficult before. And when y'all was coming up, we have so many more advantages, even just with technology. The fact that we can do this show right now, and y'all be in Mississippi, and we're able to do this across the country. Just those things alone are powerful tools to be able to empower and educate people. So thank you so much. Melian, Cherie, you got anything to say before we get out of here? We got about a minute and a half before we get out.
I just want to thank you guys again. There's a lot that I learned today that I had no idea. And I think it's just empowering, encouraging, inspiring for everybody, not just for the Black community, but for everybody. If you're the underdog in any way, shape, or form, you can prevail. So, and thank you for pointing out that that's been with God's favor, because I agree.
I totally agree. Thank you guys for coming. Like Cherie was saying, a lot of things I didn't know. You guys definitely enlightened us. Real quick, are people wearing masks in Mississippi? Is it open?
Oh yeah, no.
Is it open now?
No, we have to wear masks.
So it's not like Atlanta. It's not like ATL. Everybody turning up.
No, oh no.
Well, listen, we appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you, brother, for coming on. This is the Revolution Radio Show. As always, we want to remind you, reach for your best, reach for success, but most of all, reach for God, because God is love and love is everything. We'll see you tomorrow, same bad time, same bad channel.
Yes.